Hi, everybody. Merry Christmas Eve. How are you all doing tonight? Well, not tonight, today. Sorry, it's like it gets dark so early these days, right? But unlike people who like the spring ahead, fall back, like people are like, oh, I love when it gets darker early. That's just me. Maybe I love the nighttime. I don't know. But we wanted to really come on this Christmas Eve, and for those of you that wanted a little bit of Christmas cheer and wanted a little bit of the lounge and wanted a little bit of just cheeriness on this day where you might be a little stressed out, cooking for your family, wrapping gifts, and you really don't want to be listening to Christmas music for the 150th time. You'd rather just sit and wrap your gifts and listen to me and our guests. So yeah, we normally don't have a Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve show, but this year we are. And I figured middle of the day would be great and give you guys a little boost of energy. I have my wrapping paper bow in just for you guys. And I'm very excited to just embark and keep you excited and entertained for this holiday season. And I know the last few weeks with all the different energy leading out, moving toward the new year has been so turbulent with a lot of you internally, externally. There's been a lot of stress and you want to be in the holiday spirit. And you're like, even today, I talk about my monthly energy forecast. Even today could be a little bit if you're like, is the holiday going to be stressful, blah, blah, blah. Tomorrow, I'm telling you, the energy is perfect for your holiday. So I hope all of you can just relax. If you have feelings of grief or sadness, or those things that you're not supposed to experience on the holidays, it's normal. Like, people don't talk about it, but it is normal for you to be missing people that have passed, missing people that are here in this life, worried about family issues, people at your dinner table. I mean, people are like, oh, it's Christmas, you shouldn't be feeling that way. But it is normal to be feeling the feelings you're feeling and allow that. If you put it down, it's only going to create more anxiety for you. And you know what? This year is going to be a year, 2022 is going to be a year for you and about you to actually kind of, I think of it as like an Olympic springboard, onto the balance beam. Like you're finally jumping onto that beam where maybe in the last few years you've been running up to the beam, practicing and jumping up, but you kind of been missing that beam. This is your year. And I know every year we all say that in New Year's, this is my year. This is our year, right? But literally, this is not a year that's not about everyone else around you, not about taking care of anybody else around you. It's about your year of transformation. You've planted the seeds the last 2 years, and this is the year to kind of sprout. So Christmas Eve today is a day where you're going to be feeling things come up. And like I said, it could be sadness, could be old pain, could be grief, but this is the universe's way of helping you release and renew and get ready for that Olympic run that you're going to be taking in 2022. So better to get it all out now and and the more you try to stop it and try to tell yourself you shouldn't be feeling that way, the more you're going to go into the new year with that baggage. So just let it out. If you have to cry, you have to grieve, you're wrapping presents and you're sobbing, it's okay. You're going to feel better. Okay. And as far as getting with family on the holidays this year, I always tell people, and this is something I'm going to tell you guys too, because not many people talk about this. It's your holiday too, right? So you don't have to worry about feeling guilty for doing something on your holiday, which is just for you, right? So if you don't want to spend time with certain people on the holiday, you can make it a limited time. You don't have to just completely give your holiday away to everyone else who wants you to do what they want you to do. So remember, I'm saying this, that it's okay. You might feel the guilt, move through it. It's okay to do something that works for you today and tomorrow, something nice for yourself. So what are we doing this Christmas Eve? Of course, we're bringing on a special guest all the way from India, nonetheless, which I'm just so excited to speak to her, Uma. And this is kind of like, I hope you guys are enjoying the Nutcracker music, because I am. Did the Nutcracker all the time when I was a kid. And I miss the opening scene where we jump out of the present boxes. Some of you dancers will understand that. So let me just get to talking about Uma for a second, because when I first asked Uma to be on the show, like I always say to you guys, I really like bringing people on the show that I know nothing about. And of course, it's in the area of spirituality, energy activation, consciousness. But I like bringing people on that like aren't, mediums or psychics or people that do like just simply energy healing, because there's so much more out there in the universe to explore. So I was very interested in having Uma on our show. Uma Shankari, like I said, she's all the way in India right now. And she does galactic art, which she will explain to you what that is, and healing through sound resonance and light codes. So let me just tell you a little bit about Uma before we bring her on. And this is something that if you just don't understand what I said, because I don't even understand it yet, I have to have Uma explain it to me. But I do understand Uma's story, and a lot of you will understand Uma's story, because she was in the corporate world and she ended up following her passion and getting into channeling and downloading universal codes, and almost by, just following her dreams and her passion. So I know a lot of you are always in transition, looking for your purpose, looking to do something that fulfills your soul. And you might be working in a job that doesn't. And you're like, how do I, number one, transition out of this? And number two, how do I figure out what my passion is, what my glimmers are? And we do talk about that in the Manifesting with Marisa course, which will probably be opening up again in January. But Uma is actually a living example of this. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her and then bring her on. So Uma, in her previous life, was an IT specialist who turned into an artist and author. Like all of you, don't we all want that, right? However, her journey into art was just led in a very unusual way. It wasn't like she planned it from A to Z. And like we all think we need to have the perfect answer before we start on our path. I don't ever say to do that. I'm saying pick a glimmer, go through it, follow your passion, and the universe will lead you and refine it as you go along. So she wasn't an artist and had no inkling toward creating art before this happened. So she wasn't like growing up doing artwork, right? But one day it all changed. When she was writing her latest book, it was revealed to her that she could download these universal codes, which is so interesting to me. And I want to ask her about that. When she writes, her channels are open and information flows freely without any prodding or thinking. While she was barely beginning to get comfortable with the writing, her art came to her life in a very unexpected way. Had you asked her years ago if she could draw, she would have laughed and said, no way. Would have been the precise answer. So that's even more interesting to me, because I could get that. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to like overnight become an artist, but she did. Once she finished her latest book in December of 2019, or 2 years ago, with trepidation, she sat down to tap into these codes that she was channeling. And all of a sudden, she started downloading symbols like in a geometric way that was unbeknownst to her. And in about 5 to 6 days, she started drawing patterns that were musical in nature, which is very interesting. In another week or so, January 2nd of 2020, which is interesting because this is in the pandemic, which a lot of transformation for a lot of people were taking place, and a lot of downloads and a lot of channeling. She started drawing beautiful patterns at a rapid rate. And this didn't ever happen to her before. Her patterns were unbelievable to herself at first. Fast forward to the current time, which is only a year later, people, not even a year. We're at like 11 months right now. She has created over 300 pieces of art. Her work contains the golden mean as the basis, which I'm going to have to ask her what that is. While friends and family not only find it to be too beautiful, the true identity of the art lies in the healing and information it reveals. So I'm assuming right now, because I don't know this, but I'm going to have to ask her this, is that the art itself is channeled through Uma, and the symbols and geometry and codes are within this artwork, which upon looking at them may provide some, healing to you or information, special codes or information. But again, I have to ask her about that. One can see the cosmos in her art. In June of 2020, she did a remote viewing session with the leading expert, Dominique Sorel. The result of the remote viewing was astounding. It was confirmed that about 10 to 12 extraterrestrials from an advanced civilization are connected to in her art. Wow. Wow, right? Can we all say, wow, we want to know more about this? Uma is also a published author, and her first book, The Lion's Wisdom, can be found on Amazon. The Lion's Wisdom is a 2020 reader's favorite bronze medal winner in nonfiction, new age genre. So she's going to talk about this sound resonance, this light energy, her art, her story, the golden mean, the ETs, and the significance of all of this so you can experience your vastness. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Uma. Uma, how are you?
Marisa, I'm so happy to be here. I'm good. Thank
Awesome.
you for that wonderful introduction. I was just riveted to your introduction. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. I try to really fluff it up for my guests.
You did a good job.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have so many questions, right? So many questions. So why don't we just start from the beginning? What was your life like before you started having all these crazy mystical experiences, which is just like a regular person, 9 to 5 working in IT? Like, Is that what it was?
Yes. So in 2012, I had a spiritual awakening, and I was it's very hard to explain that. It's kind of like someone is nagging you, but it's you nagging yourself, like to go and do this angel reading session. And until this point, I didn't know what an angel reading was. For me, any psychic or reading is like, in the 90s, there used to be like commercials where a psychic comes in and says, I'll bring back your lover and you'll have like, that.
Oh, yeah. Like
the kind of mentality I had, right? Yeah. So I used to go to the salon for getting massages, and I got an email from them about, something called angel reading. So I read it. I'm like, I don't care. But what happened was this email, I don't remember the details, but this email kept coming to me in various ways. Every time I opened something, like that email would be there. And I'm like, what is going on? And I had this nagging to go and do a session. And I was like, oh my God, this is the stupidest thing that I'm going to do in my life. I don't want to do it. But if I do it, then I'll be like, it'll be done with. And I'll know it's the stupidest thing. And then I can move on with my life. Okay?
So you didn't believe it at all. Like you didn't believe this. You thought it was just like completely just
hocus pocus.
Hocus pocus. So let me ask you this before you go on. I mean, do you believe in psychics and mediums? Or did you not?
I do.
Now you do. But at that point, you did not. So you didn't have any.
You could shoot me, and I wouldn't yeah.
Well, we would not want to do that. That would.
Yeah, no, that's a very
So, I mean, in your culture, in India, do they have people that do what I do in India?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
So there are people who believe in the other side and connect with ancestors that passed.
It's a very spiritual. India is very spiritual, so it's all inclusive. But here's the funny thing: all this I didn't learn in India. I learned it in the U.S. because I lived in the U.S. until November of last year. I've lived there for 24 years. So all the things that is native to India, I started understanding it in the U.S., which is kind of funny.
That is funny. So you went, and so at this point, would you refer to yourself as agnostic or atheist?
No, I'm actually a strong believer.
Okay.
In not only spirituality, I'm actually coming back to India. I started understanding my artwork even more. So I am a firm believer in the ancient documents of India, and I recently started following Hinduism very deeply.
And so before the spiritual awakening, you also were a believer as well.
Yes, but it's sort of like, you're a Christian, you go to church. For me, I'm a Hindu, I go to temple. That's the extent of understanding of Hinduism I had.
Right.
And literally a year before, last year, I started reading one of the blogs, and I understood the depth of what the ancient Indian documents contain. And the details about my artwork, I understood based on the documents.
Wow. Okay. So let's fast forward back to what you were saying. So you're in this massage place and you decided to go to have this session. And
No, I didn't.
You
It was
did.
a woman. No, the email came from the massage place, but the woman was promoting it
Oh,
to the
okay.
people who go
Okay.
to the salon.
Right. Okay. So
So
she wasn't at the salon, the lady.
she was not at the salon.
Okay,
So
okay.
finally I ended up like emailing her and asking, what is this? And she gives me an answer and just goes over my head. Like literally goes over my head. I'm like, okay, whatever. I was like, okay, I need to go do this. Like, lo and behold, I did it. And the first session I did it, I was just blown away by it. Like literally blown away, because she started calling in the angels and she was channeling the energy. And I'm like, she talked about my dad, and nobody knew like the details about my dad. And she didn't know about it. Like my family knew.
Right. So she was giving you
So,
like clear evidence that was like no one else could know.
yeah. And
Right.
I was blown away. So it took me sort of like, uh, a while to kind of process it. And every year on August 3rd and 4th, I have a major change happening. It's the start of the Lionsgate, and I didn't realize it until very recently. August 3rd, I was leaving to go on an international trip. I love traveling. And I get a call literally as I'm pulling out. I get a call. I'm like, who is calling me? I don't know this number. I pick up the phone and she's like, hey, you want to do more sessions with me? Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, let me think about it. So I came back. I literally gave it like 10 days. I said, okay, I'll do more sessions with you. And that's how it started. And she cleared my chakras. She, so the chakra clearing really helped me. And then, so sort of like, for me, spirituality doesn't lie. Your evolution is not stuck with one person, right? One person comes to unfold something, and then something triggers, and then it just, other. So once I did the session with her, my own connection became very, very strong.
Your
Like,
intuitive connection?
yeah, it
Yeah,
became
yeah.
very strong.
Yeah.
And then I was I asked the universe to show me a book about love. And when I talked about love, it wasn't like the romantic love. I was just very, I want to understand it. And one day I went on Amazon. There was a book called the Book of Love and Creation. It just literally was sitting there, and I'm like,
Okay.
okay. And I looked at the book, and it was a channeled book. If I had not met this woman, I would not have believed in channeling. I would
Right.
not even given this book a second thought.
Right.
And I looked at it and I'm like, oh, it's a channel text. And literally I was coming out of this healing and I transitioned into that. And I was like, I read the reviews and I immediately knew I had to read it. And I ended up reading this book, which further opened all my channels. And that was the beginning of everything. And that was 2013. And
Right.
Go ahead.
And I have a question. So you said she cleared your channels. So I'm assuming that there was a lot of blocked energy within you at that point.
I think anybody in this world who lives
Yeah.
with karma, you're going to have blocked,
Okay.
chakras. We live in a world where we have lots of toxins.
Right.
We're not living our fullest life. So anybody would have that, right? But
Right.
for me, I became more aware of them. Again, I come from the Indian culture, which talks about chakra all the time. Did I ever know about it? Never. But that's why I tell people, US is where I learned about India.
Right. That's so funny.
I didn't learn about India in India. I
Right.
learned about India in like US.
Right.
So yeah. So then it kind of unplugged, the channels. But what I understood was my own accountability and responsibility to keeping that channel open and not going back and forth for the healing. That is something I'm always clear about.
I noticed this because people, you can go and have an energy healing. A lot of people go when they're having a hard time, they go have an energy clearing.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you feel better, right? You feel better right away. But to hold on to that, it's very short-lived. So how do people actually hold on to that clearing if somebody else has to help them facilitate it? And then it just goes back to the way it was.
See, the thing is, you have to take your life in your own hands. Nobody can heal you.
Exactly.
So if I may go back to my own Hindu beliefs, everybody comes with karma. Nobody can clear your karmas. You have to clear your karmas. Nobody can do it on your behalf. So I knew, like being in IT, like, I held a very good position. I was an IT manager. I was responsible for a lot of things. So from a very early age, I've been very accountable. So I knew I didn't want to go back to this woman back and forth. That is something I made very clear right from the beginning.
Because you don't want to be dependent. You didn't want to be dependent on that, which, I don't feel like people should be dependent on. Even somebody coming to someone like me, I feel like they need to eventually learn how to trust themselves eventually. But you need a guide for a little while. You do.
Yes. Yeah. So, like in India, gurus actually you don't have gurus for life. You have guru to initiate you, to teach you, but it's up to you to learn and run with what is right for you and understand it.
I guess I have a question when you're saying your karma is your responsibility, right? You made that statement. And people that are watching today are kind of like, okay, I could go do an energy clearing and somebody could help start moving that energy and start facilitating. When you say their karma is their responsibility, what do they have to do that you've learned to be able to clear themselves? Because a lot of people don't know how to do that themselves.
Great question, right? I'm going to give an analogy. Our health is a very good example. You can go for a retreat for 1 week, eat great, healthy. You come back, you're squeaky clean. And then you see a cheeseburger and you're like, oh, I don't want to eat. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to say something so that people understand who I am. I'm not a perfect person. Even today, I struggle every single day. It's not easy. You have family, you have this, you have that. You're constantly bombarded because you live in a world. We're constantly bombarded. So I don't want anybody to get the feeling that I'm living a perfect life. I'm not. But what I'm saying is, when you do something, you have to be conscious, and morality has to be the centerfold for everything. You cannot set aside morality and blame anybody else for us making any immoral choices. When I say immoral choices, that doesn't mean going and killing, and that's not what anything. Day to day we do immoral things, little things, so those things we have to be conscious about. And life always gives us two ways to pick, to always pick the wise path, because karma is not really simple as like understanding that some of the things we do, it's coming from lineage, some from past life. Some people are, there's so many things. As long as we stay in the truth, when I say truth, not my truth, the truth of what a moral code is, what we're responsible as human beings on this planet, will take little steps.
So like what, like you say moral code, sorry, I just have to ask real quick. Moral code, and you could say people could, because a lot of people that are watching, they're like, oh, I'm not doing anything horrible on a day-to-day basis. I'm, taking care of my family and I'm doing this. When you say the little choices, what are some practical examples of that, that people need to pay attention to when holding on to those clearings that are energetic?
Great. So this is, talking to the US audience, this is going to be a challenge. And so one of the things I do is I stop eating meat. And I'm not saying that people should stop eating meat. For me, I decided that is not something I'm going to do. But as a person who grew up in India, it's very easy. If you look at it in the US, the minute you say you're not a meat eater, the first question that pops in is like, where do you get your protein from?
Right. Yeah.
That question is not even in my energetic field.
Right.
It's not, it's just simply, I can't even fathom that question, or I don't even know how to answer that question. So, it's things like, as a person, what you need to do. For me, 5-6 years ago, I became very clear as part of my spiritual evolution that I cannot do it. And I gave it up. And karma is an individual thing. Nobody can come and tell you what you need to do for your karma, because your soul will always speak to you the right thing. However, what we do is we have our mind interfere and convince our soul, and we kind of do certain things. So, for example, this particular healing session, I could have easily said, you know what, that's stupid, and I could have walked away. But something in my soul gave me that big push to go and do it. But if you go and talk in the IT field and say, oh, do you like mediums and psychics? They'll be like, what? Like I come from that world. So
Yeah.
for them, it's kind of like stupid to do, or I'm not saying everybody, it's kind of like very out there, right?
Right.
So it is, nobody can say what are the choices, but one of the key things in the Hindu religion is dharma.
Okay.
There are tenets to follow. You have to follow certain moral codes and ethics. And that doesn't mean you have to follow. These are the guidelines. Be my guest. If you don't follow this, you're going to have karma. And every human being that comes in has karma. There's nothing wrong with it. That's why we are born. That's why in Hinduism, we don't have the concept of hell and heaven. We don't have it, because you're going to have to deal with your karma. You have to evolve, and then you have to finally ascend. That's how it works. So everybody has. It's not like, oh, you have karma, but I don't.
Right. Yeah.
I'm so special. I don't have karma. So yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other little things? And I was a vegetarian for 5 years, and I kind of know how you start to feel. And I did it for health reasons. Mm-hmm. And then you start to have that compassion for it. Just literally starts to come for animals. Like it just kind of, initially I did it to to feel better. And then it's like, oh no, I don't, this is not really what I want to be doing.
Right.
So when you say vegetarian, is it all animal products are off the table for you? Like
most of them.
Cheese, eggs, everything. So you're vegan.
I'm a vegan.
You're a vegan.
Yes, I'm a vegan. But recently I found something about the Vedic cows. So, I'm learning a lot. Being in India, I'm learning a lot, because in India, the only thing they'll eat is cow's milk, not buffalo's milk. Now it is all mixed up because of urbanization and corporate world. The Vedic cow is a very distinctly different cow. It has a hump on its back like a camel. And the Vedic cow is revered. It's actually, they worship it. It is the vehicle of Shiva. And it has a lot of, in the Vedic cow, everything that comes out of the Vedic cow is used except for the flesh and blood. So for example, the hump in the Vedic cow, it captures the sun rays and it creates colloidal. The urine contains nanogold colloids. So it is used in certain things during the worship. And the cow dung is used as an antiviral and an antibacterial. Now, a lot of people will say, that, but it actually has amazing healing properties. And the milk from the Vedic cow is actually used for fire ceremonies. The ghee that we make from the Vedic cow is used for fire ceremonies. Now, in US, ghee is becoming very famous. But it's not that kind of ghee. The ghee that we are eating is a genetically modified Jersey cows that doesn't have the same exact thing that the Vedic cow has. So now I'm starting to add a little bit of milk here and there, only Vedic cow. The ghee from the Vedic cow has golden mean in it. The milk in the Vedic cow has mean in it.
Okay.
So, but I'm starting to, but I'm very conscious. I don't abuse it. When I'm eating something of an animal product, I'm very conscious because I say thanks. I worship the cow that gives the milk. Other than that, I do not touch any animal products at all.
Okay. And so what about the people that are kind of watching that are like, okay, no way, I'm not, I'm not, because, we are in the United States, like you said, and there's not, people are meat eaters here. What would you say that they can do for those small moral codes that don't have to do with diet, that can help them connect with that higher frequency of energy on a daily basis?
It's okay to eat meat. I'm never a proponent of not eating meat because it's a self-real. Whatever you want to do is a self-realization. It has to happen. Nobody should force you. Nobody should preach you that you shouldn't eat. So I would never preach it to the people. What I would say is be conscious in your consumption. Number one, be very conscious in your consumption. Whatever you consume, be conscious with it. The other thing is be stand for the truth. So the truth, it's very difficult to sort of explain what truth is because then they'll say, well, my truth is different. That's not what we're talking about. For example, the making of the universe, it's the truth. It wasn't like someone, so I'm talking about truth that is timeless. 30 years ago, the truth is the same. 300 million years ago, the truth is the same. Today, I'm talking about that kind of truth. To stand in the truth and be true to oneself, not others. And that is the most challenging thing even for me. Because as you're going along the path, someone will come and tell you something and all of a sudden it gets very shaky. And I go through this every single day. To stay true to yourself. And when you listen to your heart, it will sort of like move you in different ways. And that's your karma taking you in different ways. So how do you really center yourself? Meditate. One of the things I really suggest is walking barefoot.
Outside or inside?
Outside or inside. Do not wear shoes as much as possible. Walk barefoot. When you're walking barefoot, you're connecting to the ground. When you're connecting to the ground and you're feeling the earth, you're actually allowing yourself to feel your body. And what happens is the resonance from earth is kind of instilled through your feet into your body. So whether you go to the beach, you go to the forest, if you're comfortable, walk barefoot. I used to walk barefoot in Chicago in Lincoln Park. People used to think I'm crazy. Every single person I met, oh my God, are you gonna like something can happen to your feet? I'm like, I'll be fine. Yeah, something happened once or twice. A bee stung me. Yeah, I get it. But and then I knew how to not walk in certain paths. What I'm saying is, walking barefoot is so healing for your body. Putting the feet on ground and understanding earth in a very different way. See, the thing is, your garden, that's one way to connect with Mother Earth. But putting your foot on the ground is another way to connect with Mother Earth. And the kind of information and energy we get through Mother Earth it's inexplicable.
So could you wear socks or do you have to have barefoot?
Go barefoot. If it's too hard for you,
like if you're cold.
It's cold, it's very hard, right? I understand. I wish one day I could walk on the snow, but I can't.
Yeah.
But what I did in Chicago, which is, 11 and a half months out of a year is cold.
I see.
I used to walk barefoot any chance I got.
Right. Okay.
I would literally walk the entire 3 miles. I would walk barefoot.
Oh my goodness. Well, those are 3 great suggestions. And I hope some of you guys out there today are going to at least be more conscious. If whatever you want to eat, be more conscious about it. Ground yourself, do some meditation. Those are 3 easy things. And I love the barefoot suggestion. But I have to get back to your story because I think I was so interested in the little details leading up to this point, leading to the Vedic cows and the paneer. Do you eat paneer? Do you eat paneer?
I do. If it is from the Vedic cow, I will. Yes.
So how could somebody can I go to an Indian grocery store and get the paneer from a Vedic cow? So where can I get paneer that would be okay?
Come to India.
Well, that's a little tough. So
I think it's called A2 cow milk. There are some people that are claiming it to be, but I doubt it. Outside of India, I don't think it's easy to get Vedic cow milk.
So you just eat regular paneer, you'll be fine.
Yes.
Right. So back to your story. So let's go back to the healer called you and said, you want to do more sessions with me? And you decided that's kind of where we left off. Where did things go from there?
So that happened. And then I started reading this book, the I Am the Word series, which is by Paul Selig. It's a phenomenal series. It opens up your chakras so fast. It's not even funny. Then it kind of evolved, and like I was, 2013, I was working, and like I just wanted to take a huge break, and just I couldn't deal with the corporate world. I was very successful in the corporate world, and slowly I started realizing like I can't do this for long. I need a break. So 2014, I said, you know what, I'm going to take a short-term disability because I was really stressed. I'll come back.
Yeah.
I never went
Yeah.
back.
Oh God. Okay.
Never went back.
So something happened.
So my spiritual life really took over for me. It became so important. Like every breath I took, every word I spoke, the center of it was spirituality. And I couldn't fathom a life where I was working full time and also being able to give time for my spiritual work. I just couldn't do it. So I decided this was the right path. So I took a year off and I traveled. I traveled to Africa, which I just wanted to do all my life. And then I started laying foundation for my business. I had a food business where it was all vegan food. Like for 1 year, for 3 years, I did it. And during the time, I wrote my book and I published my first book, The Lion's Wisdom. So far, I have 5 books in hand, actually maybe 6. That I have to publish one of them, which I haven't done. But let me take a step back and tell you how the book happened, because that's also a background for how the art happened. So I was at one of Paul Siddick's workshops, and one day I was there, and I was asking what my purpose was, and the guides came out and said, you all want someone to tell you what the purpose is, but you're in the way of your own purpose. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we all want answers. So there's the third book in the I'm the Word series is one of my favorite. There's a chapter called The Wisdom, and it literally asks you to align to your wisdom, and your own wisdom speaks up. So I sat and I aligned to my own wisdom, and I knew like I would start writing kind of vaguely, but I never tried it. So that day I said, you know what, I'm just going to write whatever words come in. And then lo and behold, an entire chapter flowed through.
Wow.
And in 21 days, I wrote 21 chapters. And I've never written, all my books I write in like 21 days, 22 days. Like none of my artwork is similar. My artwork gets done in a couple of hours.
So tell me about your artwork. I know in your bio, you said that you didn't ever draw, you didn't ever do any artwork, and all of a sudden, was the spiritual experience that you had, was that going to the healer initially? Is that the spiritual experience that activated this, or was there something else that happened? Okay,
absolutely. I'm going to quickly show one of the artworks so that.
Oh wow!
Can you guys see?
Beautiful. It? Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let me talk about this. So the spiritual activation happened in 2012. And, when I was young, I was very intuitive. Like it took me this initiation to understand that I was very intuitive when I was young. So I was writing, I was doing my thing, I was slowly. So the first book happened. 21 days, I wrote it, packed it, put it aside. I needed a break. A couple of months later, I started writing my second book, and then it just started flowing. Like I could sit and like I could just instantaneously write. And I would hear words that I've never written in my life or heard in my life. And I would go back and Google and see that that word exists. So when I was writing the 5th book or the 6th book, which in December 2019, it was very different from the rest of the books. Very different. The tone was different. The way it was coming through was different. And I was given about 7 or 8 terminologies that I never heard, but I knew it existed based on the word. The words were metatones, metadata, meta-being, or a few words that I can remember. And when I was writing the second book, chapter, it came up and said, you will be downloading codes. And I was just getting comfortable with the writing, because writing itself for me was like, whoa, like, whoa, whatever, So when I was getting comfortable with the writing, all of a sudden, when I heard that I'm going to be downloading codes, I got very scared. Mm-hmm. The one good thing about me is even if I get scared, I'll just keep going.
Okay, good.
I'll be scared. Like when I started writing my book, I'm like, okay, I'm scared, but I kept going. So
Right.
it just developed. So with the artwork, with the codes, I was like, okay, whatever. At least I have a book to finish. So once I finish the book, I can think about it. I started the book on 11/11 and I finished the book on 22nd of December. And the next thing I knew, I had to sit and start writing, downloading the codes. And I'm sitting and I'm looking at the paper and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what is this? Like, why? I don't want to do this, Then finally, I knew it was the metadata is the word I heard that I was going to do. And I was like, I don't know what metadata is. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? But the good thing was, all of a sudden it dawned on me that I because I worked in the IT field, metadata is something we use for hard disk. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a hardcore IT person. So I'm like, oh, from an IT perspective, I know what metadata, that's all I said. I put my pen on the paper and I started drawing codes like at a very fast rate. I was just kept coming. And I had about 100 codes in an hour and a half.
Okay. And did you know what these codes meant?
No, even today, honestly, my work, I'm the person I think will know more about it, like towards like end of my journey. It's one of those things. It's hard. It's so much. I wish I brought the codes book right here. I may be able to. We'll see.
So wait, I have to ask you, what's the purpose of them giving you these codes if they can't be used and you can't interpret?
No, they can be used. They can be used.
Okay.
The thing is, it's so much data. Like, we're just starting to understand what infinite is. And all of a sudden you are given the infinite.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's sort of like you're looking at it. There's so much information in it. Just me, cannot interpret all of it. I think it's a teamwork. And
okay. Did they tell you, did you get any insight about why you were receiving the codes? Are they meant to heal people or
yes,
what?
yes.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what happened. So when I was drawing, when I started drawing, I intuitive. It's not even intuitive. See, intuitive is, oh, I think I need to go and do this. For me, it was not like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was very organic. So what I mean by that is, when I was drawing, I knew the next step for me to do was to go and buy a black paper. It wasn't like someone came and said, you need to go and buy a black paper. Like sometimes when you're intuitive, it's either a sentence that comes you here.
Right.
Like, it was not like that. I just knew I had to go and buy the black paper. I went and bought the black paper. I knew specifically what to buy. And I started living in the Blick store the entire first 6 months of my drawing.
Literally, what store?
Blick.
What store? What's that?
Blick is I think everybody knows Blick, BLICK. Blick is it's like an art supply store.
Oh, okay.
It's all over the US. Kids go there, there's a bunch of stores I always walk by, but I never went it because I didn't have a need to go there.
Okay.
But when I started drawing, I had very specific needs. I would go and say, this is what I'm looking for. And we got something you're asking for. And they would pull it up and give it to me. I'll be like, well, this is the kind of brush I'm looking for. See, I don't know how brushes are. I don't know the kind of brushes. I don't know the kind of paints. And I would go and explain them. And they'll come and show me. And is this what you're looking for? I'm like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. And that is how, see, the thing is, the interesting thing is when you go to art school, you say, well, I need brush number 2. For me, I couldn't say that. I would say, this is the kind of thing I'm looking for. And they'll say, well, that's brush number 2.
I see.
You see, so the thing about this is time and space collapsed for me completely. See, I have the privilege of saying I experienced time-space collapse, because to draw overnight is a time-space, because you have to learn, you go to school. For me, all that never happened. I instantaneously started doing that. So when I was doing that, see, the thing is that organically knowing, I don't even know how to word it, because if I'm thirsty, I know that I'm going to go and get a cup of water. I'm not going to say, ooh, I think I need to go and get the glass, and that's intuitiveness and that's knowing. But that's not how it was for me. I literally knew what it is. So when I started drawing, as I was drawing, I didn't know what to draw. I would sit and like I would do something and then it would evolve and then it would go. And then sometimes my hand would shake and I would be thinking this. And like what happened was, as I was drawing, I knew what to do. Because
Right.
as I was drawing, like organically, I knew what the next step was. I knew what the next step was. I knew what the next step was without any debate or, like discussion, or it just was just so natural.
Right.
And when I started drawing, I immediately knew what kind of healing, what kind of art it was, what was happening. And what I also did is I did not go and ask people what to do. I did not go and say, hey, do you think you know about this? I didn't do that because intuitively I knew if something is being given like this from a higher power, I need to trust myself and not go and ask 20 people
Right.
what this, because that would just completely bring down the essence and the spiritual and the divine nature of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Now, can I show the audience some of your
yes,
pieces?
actually, you know what? I have it here. Let me see. You can show that one too. So I have some new pieces here that they may enjoy. So let
Okay.
me.
Oh, wow. And is this, do you draw these for a specific individual, and then is there a, does it do something?
Yes. So all these art, they are all multidimensional.
Okay.
So they are multidimensional art in the sense like I'm trying to like, what am I doing? Hold on.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
You can see it? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a multidimensional art. So most artwork is single dimensional, right? So this art is, it's not about the art itself. It is about going through the art.
Okay.
So the art
So,
acts as a portal to your healing.
so is this, I guess what I'm saying, if somebody said, like, can someone commission you for, say, oh, I'm struggling with my career, a career pattern or a love pattern, can you make me something for my healing? And then you channel this and then you give it to them and they look at it and
I
this
think I can do it.
activates. Or do you just do, like, for now, this art that you do, is it going to specific people, or anyone could buy the same print and have the same effect? So it's not like one, like a, one of a kind piece. It's like I can see that and buy it and have the same effect as 20 other people.
See, it's an interesting question, but I'm going to answer it in a way that it makes sense. So
Okay.
basically, I'm still learning about my art.
I see.
One of the things I've noticed is I never give a person one piece of art for healing. I show them 10 pieces, but I give them a very direct path.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, look at the art with your body, not with your mind.
I see. So somatically.
Yes. So use your senses and not your brain to pick the artwork. So what happens is when I show certain artwork, people have strong emotions with certain art, or they have strong vibration, and the chakras start vibrating. So I tell them very specifically. So what happens in general with us as human beings is like, especially in the spiritual realm, oh my God, that's my totem animal. Oh my
Right.
God, that is my
Right.
spiritual color. All brain work. I'm
Right.
not saying it's not right, but
Right.
my work, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
You have to literally come from a place of not knowing,
Right.
and you have to really use your body as the feeler to see if that's the right work. And the other thing I tell people is not to stare at the image for too long, because I give them only 10 seconds to choose the image. Past 10 seconds, they start thinking. So I
Okay.
literally run through 10 images and say, pick one and tell me which one. Recently, I've started working with people with up to three images. Initially, I started with one. And now people, even if I show three images, they're still able to continue with the same think that they started with another image, which I find very fascinating.
So if somebody, I just have a question because we're actually, I mean, I could talk to you for hours, but we're coming to the hour of the show. So if you guys want to connect with Uma, you go to umashankari.com. And I'm assuming your books are on there and people can get to your information. But what, like, if somebody is in the audience, and I know for me, this is what I'm thinking. So I'm assuming this is what some people in the audience are thinking. Hey, I would like to have a piece of artwork from Uma. I would like to receive the healing from a piece of artwork that resonates with me. And I would like to have Uma connect with me one-on-one. Are those options for people?
Correct. They're all options available. And I didn't answer one of your questions. I have done one session for a person, the artwork. Like specifically that person came to me and said, can you do artwork for me? And I have done that as well. I do healing sessions through the artwork. The art is also available for sale. The only caveat with the artwork is I have had some challenges printing them. So right now I'm only selling the originals with the exception of a few pieces. All of them are available. Yes.
You could also email Uma if you have questions, uma@umashankari.com. And she's, she does the healing with sound resonance and light codes. And I want to show you just some of the images that I have downloaded and the one that I like specifically. So let me just show you guys a few things here. I'm going to take you off, Uma, and bring you back on, okay?
Sure.
All right, stay tuned, guys. I'm just going to bring this up for everybody. It takes me a second here. So this is one of Uma's lovely purple and pink. I mean, this looks like a fairy garden to me. It looks like something that it's just magical. Like you go to gardens and this magical fairies arise. It's very like love, romance. And then we have this one. It seems so mystical and godlike and all-encompassing spirit. And I was really drawn to this one specifically. It just reminded me of the season that we're in. And it looks like one of those amazing light displays. I don't know. Just gorgeous, right? So those are just some of examples of Uma's artwork that I wanted to show you guys. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what Uma is doing. Let me just pull this back up. Okay, well, Uma, we unfortunately for everybody else, they have to get back to their holiday planning, and we have to start to wrap it up. So, is there anything you would like to relay to our audience before we get going?
Yes. For one thing I forgot to say is all the artwork contains sound harmonics and light language.
And what does that mean?
It. So, Kaimatica is something when there is certain healing audible sounds, they make patterns. For example, the word Om, when you utter it, it creates a Shri Yantra, which is in water. You can get that pattern. So the patterns that I draw are Kaimatica patterns, which is sound harmonics. Mm-hmm. The colors I use are golden, silver, metallic, glitter that contains the light in it. So it's the light and sound harmonics. So when you're looking at it, you're going to be impacted by those sound harmonics as well. That's one. The other thing is for people who are Christmas is tomorrow, I'm giving it $25 off for my healing session, which is $150 usually. So my website still needs some tweaking. So if you need to get a healing session with me, please email me and I will schedule a session with you. It'll be an hour. Okay. It is an hour and 15 minutes. An hour for the session and 15 minutes for questions. I cannot hold the energy for more than an hour and 15 minutes, and I don't mean to be rude, but I'll be finishing it after an hour and 15 minutes. So you can contact me for that. And if you're interested in a particular artwork, and if I don't have the print, I am willing to sell the piece in original, unless there are certain exceptions that I can't. Otherwise, I will do it for you.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So keep that one aside for me because I
okay, sounds good. I will.
Okay, you want to get in touch with Uma. The best way, she says, is to email her. at umashankari.com. Check out her website. There's tons of amazing her artwork about Uma, about everything she does. I find you to be very fascinating, Uma. I could talk to you for a long time. We just have to get moving here. So I really enjoyed having you on the lounge, and I hope that you'll come back at some point when we, right now it's our holiday series. So maybe you could come back when we have our musicians on and interaction with our guests and seeing maybe we could take even a few guests and go back and forth with them and see what's going on with them. That would be awesome.
Marisa, I would love to. This is doing interviews. I love sharing my my work and also listening to what people do. So I would be honored to come back on your show. And thank you so much for having me on this show.
Awesome. Well, Merry Christmas Eve, everybody. I hope everybody has
Merry
a
Christmas.
wonderful holiday, and you're wrapping your gifts. And we actually gave you a little bit of soothing and a little bit of distraction and maybe a little bit of calm for your holiday season. So we will see you actually next week on New Year's Eve at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we'll go back to our regular schedule for our regular 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time schedule. And I forgot to actually put this up for you guys in the comments, but the Intuitate, that's not even up there. So if you go to, hold on, we have the Intuitate live workshop, 25 people max on, I'll just put this up here real quick, January 31st, 2022, 7 p.m. You can get all of the details. I'm doing live readings, live messages, and also 3 keys to commitment and self-commitment in 2022. So if you are sick of attracting emotionally unavailable people, or you're doing all the work in a relationship and you're always chasing down someone else or trying to get them to do more, this is all about balancing and actually recommitting to yourself so that we can instantly change that dynamic. And how great would it feel when you're the one being pursued, right? You're the one that's desired and having all the things you want in love. So make sure you register on my website, which is connectionbeyond.com. I will put that up here. I don't even know where it is because I'm so focused on everybody else's stuff. So go to register at connectionbeyond.com. This is a great gift too if it's Christmas Eve and you're looking for a last minute gift for somebody. This could be something that could really help them and that they'll really enjoy. So I will, never mind. Just go to the website. You know who I am. You know where to find me. Go to the website. It's on the front page, connectionbeyond.com, Intuitate Live, and get in there. I think we only have a few spots left. So thanks, guys. Have a Merry Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. And we'll see you before the new year to ring in 2022. And let me just put back on our banner here. As you can see, it takes me a little while to go through this. We will see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. A wave.